Title of the chapter is Talks Between Narada and King Prachinabarhi. So as usual, before we begin, we'll be singing the Jai Radha Madhava prayers. So Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari, Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe, Jaya Radha Giridhari, Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jaya Krishna Balaram, 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 Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladeva, Jai Subhadra, Jai Bal Gopal, Jai Bal Gopal, Jai Bal Gopal, Jai Bal Gopal, Jai Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai, Jai Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. जय श्री श्री राधा गिरी भगवान की जय, जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा की जय, जय गौनिता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गुरुदेव की जय. As usual, before we start today's Bhagavatam class, we will first read from Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrita. We are in the chapter Swami invites the hippies. So just look where we were, the page. Okay. So when the disciple is ready, the Guru will appear, they had read. And they had waited eagerly for the day when their Guru would come. Although Bonnie had spent most of her time in the parks of San Francisco, one day she had been looking through a table full of magazines in a Ashbury head shop when she found a copy of Back to Godhead, the mimeographed journal produced by Srila Prabhupada's disciples in New York. She had been particularly attracted to Hagriva's article about Swamiji. The descriptions of Swamiji's smile, his bright eyes, his pointy-toed shoes, and the things he said had given her a feeling that this might be the Guru she had been looking for. And when she had learned that the same Swamiji had opened an ashram in Haight Ashbury, she had immediately started searching through the neighborhood until she had found the temple on Frederick Street. Before Bonnie and Gary met Swamiji, they had both been troubled. Gary was in anxiety about the threat of being drafted into the army, and both of them were disillusioned because they had not found the truth they had come to San Francisco to find. So on meeting Srila Prabhupada in his room, they began to explain their situation. Bonnie, He was sitting in a rocking chair in his little apartment, and he looked at us like we were crazy, because we were. And he said, "You come to my classes. Simply come to my classes every morning and every evening, and everything will be all right." That sounded to us like an unbelievable panacea, but because we were so bewildered, we agreed to it. I told him I had traveled all over Europe, and he said, "Oh, you have traveled so much." And I said to him, "Yes, I have traveled so much. I have done so many things, but none of it ever made me happy." He was pleased with that statement. He said, "Yes, that is the problem." We began doing we began going to his morning lectures. For us, it was a long distance to get there at 7 in the morning. But we did it every morning with the conviction that this was what he had said to do and we were going to do it. Then one day he asked us, "What do you do?" When we said that formerly we had been art students at college, he told us to paint pictures of Krishna. Shortly after that, we asked to be initiated. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Prabhupada Leelamrita ki jai. So we'll stop there and just start with the invocation prayers. Before that, of course, I'd like to thank all the devotees for giving me this opportunity to speak on the Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm in no way qualified for it, but you kindly given me the opportunity so that I can purify myself. So I take this opportunity to thank all of you and especially thank you for coming today to listen to this class. Hare Krishna. ॐ अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति विश्रम्भ माधव स्वामिनिति नामिने। गुरुं गौरं गिरिश्रेष्ठं यो विश्रम्भेन सेवते माधवं तुलसी रामकृष्ण कीर्तिकरं स्तुते। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीगुरुं दीनतारणम्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Before we continue, just would like to acknowledge and express my gratitude for Srila Prabhupada for his greatest contributions, his books, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and so many more books. Without these books, I would not be able to speak anything today. And also I'd like to acknowledge all the other speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So listening to them, the audio and video recordings online, it's almost as if you can purport to Srila Prabhupada's purport. It's all expanded and beautifully explained so nicely that you're able to relish these topics. So I'd like to thank all of them. So today's verse, we're reading, as I said, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 19, verse 17. We'll just look at the verse. Yatha yatha vikriyate gunakto vikaroti va तथा तथोपद्रष्टात्मा तद्वृत्तिरनुकार्यते यथा यथा विक्रियते गुणाक्तो विकरोति वा तथा तथोपद्रष्टात्मा तद्वृत्तिरनुकार्यते यथा यथा विक्रियते गुणाक्तो विकरोति वा तथा तथोपद्रष्टात्मा तद्वृत्तिरनुकार्यते. Would anyone like to chant the verse?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I am trying.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yata yata vikriyate gunakto vikaroti va tatha tathopodrishtatma tadvittirunukaryate. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes, please. Thank you, Mataji.
Yatha yatha vikriyate gunakto vikaroti va yatha tathopadrashtatma tadvrittirunukaryate. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's go to the synonyms.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes, Mataji. Yes, sure. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam, Mataji. Please go on.
Yatha yatha vikriyate gunakto vikrato vikroti va tatha tathopadrishtat drishtat atma tatvrittire anukaryate. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Should we move on to the synonyms? Would anyone like to read the synonyms?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Yatha yatha, just as. Vikriyate is agitated. Gunakta, associated with the modes of nature. Vikarati, as it does. Va, or tatha tatha, similarly. Upadrashta, observer. Atma, the soul. Tot, of the intelligence. Vritti, occupations. Anukaryate, imitates. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone for the translation?
May I Mataji please?
Yes, yes, please. Thank you, Mataji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Formerly, it was explained that the queen is one's intelligence, while one is awake or asleep. That intelligence creates different situations. Being influenced by contaminated intelligence, the living entity envisions something and simply imitates the actions and reactions of his intelligence. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Anyone would like to read the purport? Okay, I will read it. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Thank you.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The queen of Puranjana is described herein as intelligence itself. Intelligent acts both in the dream state and in the waking state, but it is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Since the intelligence is contaminated, the living entity is also contaminated. In the conditioned state, the living entity acts according to his contaminated intelligence. Although he simply remains an observer, he nonetheless acts, being forced by a contaminated intelligence, which is reality is a positive agent. Which in reality is a positive agent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Formally, it was explained that the queen is one's intelligence, while one is awake or asleep. That intelligence creates different situations. Being influenced by contaminated intelligence, the living entity envisions something and simply imitates the actions and reactions of his intelligence. So this title is this chapter is titled "The Talks Between Narada and King Prachina Barhi." And let's just brief background of where we are at present. So we've seen for several months now, we've been hearing this story, this allegorical story of King Puranjana, which has been narrated by Narada Muni to King Prachina Barhi. So as we know, King Prachina Barhi comes in the great lineage of Dhruva Maharaj, from Maharaj Uttanapad, King Dhruva Maharaj, so on to King Prithu, and from King Prithu come down to King Prachina Barhi. So he's also a great king, but he's missed the point, and he is engrossed in doing fruitive sacrifices for advancement in material life. And so Narada Muni, to deliver him, he has come there to and to explain to him, and he's doing so in a different way. So he's telling him an allegorical story by which he can understand the reality himself. That's where we are. So now he's completed, Narada Muni has completed telling King Prachina Barhi the story of King Puranjana. And King Puranjana is, King Prachinbarhi is saying, is told him that, oh, you told me a story, but I don't understand the import, because for people that are very fruitively engrossed, they cannot understand this. Can you please explain? And that's where we are in the whole pastime. And we've been hearing how Narada Muni has been unpacking some of the things that he's told before. So he's explaining what each of the characters in his story were representing. And today we have come to the intelligence. So intelligence in the allegorical story of King Puranjana, this intelligence plays a very major part. We hear so much about Queen Puranjani, who he says is the intelligence. So the soul is Puranjana and his intelligence is the Queen Puranjani. And there's a lot of it, so it's described in great detail in chapter 25, how the soul comes upon this intelligence and there's mutual attraction between them. So there's, and then when we see in verses between 56 and 62, actually, Narada Muni gives a hint there itself. He says, oh, the queen is material intelligence. And he explains how whatever this queen does, because of strong mutual attraction and bonding between the soul and the intelligence, the king, whatever Puranjani does, King Puranjana also imitates her. So if she sits, he will sit. If she stands, he will stand. If she walks, he will walk. If she touches something, he will touch something. If she smells something, he will also smell. So this way, he's completely aligned to the intelligence, to Queen Puranjani. So this we are seeing chariot of the body, where the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the soul. The soul is completely aligned to the intelligence. Why is that? So we see there's a mutual attraction of the soul and the intelligence. So this intelligence has been provided, all these things, the senses, the mind, the intelligence, all of these have been provided by the Supreme Lord. When the soul enters the material world, it's as if these are tools given to the soul to navigate this material world. And so the role of this intelligence especially is that of looking after the soul, looking after the soul's interest in the material world. So this intelligence makes sure that the soul is living an optimal life. So, it gets maximum sense gratification for minimum amount of inputs, or maximum sense gratification for lowest risk possible. So it wants to always protect the soul. So the soul, King Puranjana, he is he sees in the intelligence a soulmate, someone that will protect me and has the best interest of me in this material world. And similarly, the intelligence also mutually attracted to the soul because she's fulfilled her purpose. Her purpose is to protect the soul, to guard him against dangers, and to give him the maximum sense gratification possible. So there's very strong mutual attraction and trust between these two. And we see that that there is, there is a funny story actually of a person who is walking down a street. And this person, as he's walking, he's just about to step on something, and then he stops himself. And then, he says, oh, what is this? And he sees a pile of something looking very dirty and very yucky. And then he says, oh, let me see what this is. So he goes down and smells it. And it smells disgusting. So then he says, okay, let me touch it and see how it feels. Then he touches it. And oh my God, it's yucky, horrible. And then worse still, he puts that in his mouth and tastes it. Oh my God, this is disgusting. And then he says, oh, thank goodness I didn't step on it. And he walks away. So this person, this intelligence has been provided to him to protect him. So a person without intelligence is in a very dangerous position in this material world. He's very vulnerable. All his senses can drag him here and there, and he will be put in the most dangerous situations if he's not intelligent. So we need this material intelligence, especially to navigate life's twists and turns, and to navigate all the dangers and all the temptations in this world. We need intelligence. Now, I was reading Science of Intelligence. There is a magazine called Psychology Magazine, and it lists down 10 signs of intelligence. 10 signs of intelligent people. How do we determine, or how do we get an idea that person is intelligent? So some of the things that said was that an intelligent person, he's got a very pleasant, positive attitude, and he's very hardworking. He's very good in his decision making. He's very precise and credible, very sensible kind of decisions he will make. He's got a very strong sense of self-control. He's able to control his senses, not just react rashly or without thinking. He's got high level of emotional intelligence. He can empathize with others. He's very sensitive to everyone's needs. He's got analytical thinking abilities. So he's got great attention to detail. He's curious and open to new experiences, highly adaptable. So especially very flexible. If one option doesn't work, he can quickly change gears and try another option. If that doesn't work, he'll try another one. So very quickly adaptable and flexible to the vagaries of this world. And he's also skeptical. He won't just blindly follow something. He will ask questions. He'll observe. He's far more, able to pick up little details from his observations. And he's open-minded. So he's ready to learn new things. He's open to all kinds of possibilities. Now, by the sound of this, all of these sound like very desirable qualities. We all want to be like this. We want to be very intelligent. Now, all this we are still talking about is material intelligence. Now, this material intelligence, as we've seen, is very necessary, but we must know that it is also contaminated. As we see in this verse, contaminated intelligence. What is contaminated intelligence? So we've got some hints from Bhagavad Gita, from this lust. If you see Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 40. Indriyani mano buddhir asya dishthanam uchyate eter vimohayatyesha jnanam avritya dehinam. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So it's telling here that lust bewilders the intelligence, the soul, by sitting on senses, mind, and intelligence. Similarly, in this verse, Prabhupada himself says that contamination comes from the three modes, because the soul has entered this material world, and this material world is governed by the three modes. All the elements of the soul, so all the possessions of the soul are also covered by this three modes. It's like an oil slick on water. Everything is coated by this three modes of material nature. So what does intelligence in these three modes look like? If you look at intelligence in the mode of ignorance, then it is intelligence that works to harm others, to destroy, to cheat, to steal. So even, for example, terrorist acts, they require great intelligence. There's always, they say mastermind. Who's the mastermind of 9/11? We talk about the CIA, the Central Intelligence Authority. So even spying, all these, even for espionage, all these things, you need intelligence. And that kind of intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. We see here Shakuni, how he cheated the Pandavas by playing, having a kind of loaded game of dice. Similarly, then what's in the mode of intelligence in the mode of passion is, you will see what we see generally in the world, corporate world, especially. You will see people working very hard late into the night, working the stock market, trying to make great profits from their investment. All this is like in the mode of passion. Greed and competitiveness, all this governs this kind of intelligence. And then finally, we have intelligence in the mode of goodness, which seeks to help others. So you very intelligently, solving others' problems, solving your own problems also in a very balanced way, helping others, teaching them, educating others. All this is in the mode of goodness. So intelligence in the mode of goodness looks like this. Now, another feature of this contaminated intelligence is that it doesn't sit with one idea, because there's a tendency, just like the mind, it will accept and reject. Because we see, for example, in science, how science over the years, the theories have changed. They keep getting upgraded with new information. the theories get upgraded, the knowledge gets upgraded, and so the intelligence also gets upgraded. So it will accept something, and tomorrow it will reject the same thing and accept something else. If the earth is flat, then it says, no, it is round. No, it is geoid. Then it will say, oh, the earth is going around, sun is going around the earth. Then it will say, no, earth is going around the sun. So all these theories will keep coming. As in new information comes in, new knowledge comes in, again, they are rejected. So especially this we see, contaminated intelligence is not, it's not a, it will not stick to one permanent position. Now there are, while this intelligence is there to protect the soul in this material world, it also has its limitations. There is a story, there is this example of this doctor. I came across this video on YouTube. So there's this doctor, he's not just a doctor, he's, say if he's doctor itself means he's very intelligent. But he's not just an ordinary doctor, he's a surgeon. Okay, and not just a surgeon, he's a neurosurgeon. And not any neurosurgeon, he is graduated from MIT, which is an Ivy League university in the US. So no doubt, he was very highly intelligent, very, very, very highly intelligent and smart person. So he got out of medical school at the age of 29 and he practiced for 9 years. And suddenly at the age of 38, he just quit it all. So this video was about, he's talking about why he quit his very promising career at a very young age. So he said that when he got into medical school, he had to take the Hippocratic Oath, which basically, all doctors take. And in that oath, he said he had to take an oath that I will work to ease the suffering of humanity. So I'll remove the suffering of humanity. That was one of the parts of the oath. But later on, when he was practicing, he found that many of his patients, some of them would get better by his surgery, and many of them would not. And some of them would be same as before the surgery, no difference. And many patients, he also saw that they didn't even come into surgery, but they got better on their own. So that led him to think that, my surgery is not really helping them. So there must be something else. So he started interviewing them and compiling all his observations. And then he found that it is not surgery that is helping them really, but it is their lifestyle, the choices they have made. For example, if they, he found that a very plant-based lifestyle, plant-based diet, low salt diet, and stress-free life, stress-free living, being outdoors in nature, all these things helped in curing or keeping a person healthy. And so he gave up. And this whole thing was filmed in some natural settings, but you could see he was not looking very happy there. Also, he was being constantly disturbed by mosquitoes. And, we don't know where that will lead to. But even though being very intelligent, that really didn't lead him to become very happy. And similarly, another example also I heard the other day about a CEO of a big company in the US, where this person also is graduated from an Ivy League university, so very intelligent, and postgraduate also from an Ivy League university, super intelligent, and he's founded a big company across the whole of the US. So it's, making billions of dollars. And he had a big family and 6 children and doing really well. Basically, everything that you could ask for in the material world, he had all of that. But one day he's found dead, fallen down from the 20th floor of a 5-star hotel. So again, you can see his material intelligence didn't lead him to any happiness. So even though it can maximize your sense gratification, even though it can keep you safe in the material world, it still does not lead to happiness. Now, other counterpart of it is what pleases Krishna. Does this material intelligence or this material smartness, does it please Krishna? Let's just look at a few examples or verses from different scriptures. So I picked up a couple of verses from the Padyavali, Rupa Goswami's Padyavali, which I found were very beautiful. So I'll just read them. The first one is Vyadhasya Charanam, Dhruvasya Chavayo, Vidya Gajendrasya Ka, Kubjaya Kimunama Rupamadhikam, Kim Tat Sudamno Dhanam, Vamshah Ko Vidurasya Yadavapater, Ugrasya Kim Paurusham, Bhaktya Tushyati Kevalam Nachagunai, Bhakti Priyo Madhava. What's he saying here? Dhruva, what maturity did he have? What knowledge did Gajendra have? What intelligence did the elephant have? What beauty did Kubja have? And did Sudama have any wealth? Did Budira have any great noble lineage? He was born of a maidservant. And Ugrasena, the king of the Yadavas, he didn't have any martial prowess, but Krishna is satisfied with them all because bhaktya tushyati kevalam. Only bhakti or devotional service pleases him, and he is bhakti priyo madhava. So it is not any material qualifications like intelligence that pleases the Lord. It's bhakti that pleases him. And similarly, there's another verse in the same Padyavali. This is written by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. It says, Na vayam kavayo na tarkika, na cha vedanta nitanta paragaha, na cha vadi nivarakaha param, kapatabhir kishora kinkaraha. We are not poets, we are not logicians, we are not philosophers who have crossed to the farther shore of Vedanta. We are not eloquent debaters. We are the servants of a naughty cowherd boy. So says Sri Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So this is, in maturity, he has written this verse in bhakti. But the same Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, let's see in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. This is the chapter 6, where liberation of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So we see at the beginning how he was a monist, he was an impersonalist. And his first meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Jagannath temple, and then Gopinath Acharya, his brother-in-law, is speaking to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Because he's told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Bhattacharya is not willing to accept that. So he says, Yadyapi Jagat Guru Tumi Shastra Jnanavan Prithivite Nahi Pandita Tumara Saman Ishwarera Kripa Lesha Nahika Tomate Ataiva Ishwara Tattva Na Para Janite. Gopinath Acharya then addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. You are a great scholar and a teacher of many disciples. Indeed, there is no other scholar like you on earth. Nonetheless, because you are bereft of even a pinch of the Lord's mercy, you cannot understand him, even though he is present in your home. Tomara nahi ka dosh, shastre ei kahe, pandityadye ishvara tattva jnana kabhu nahi. It is not your fault, it is a verdict of the scriptures. You cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by scholarship. So he's explaining to him that, and in the purport we see Prabhupada has explained that it is, if without the Lord's favor, without the Lord being pleased with you, without the Lord's mercy, there's no chance of your understanding him, even though you may be a big scholar. And the Lord himself says, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Naham Vipro, Nachanarapatir, Gopi Bhartur, Padakamalayur Dasa Dasanu Dasa. Madhya Leela, he says that. So it is the servitude and the feeling of surrender to the Lord that pleases him, not your material qualifications. And then let's look at some of the verses in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, where the Lord himself, he explains what pleases him, who are dear to him. So we'll just read a few of these. One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. And finally, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So what is dear to Krishna? Who is dear to Krishna? A person who is very equipoised, who is balanced, who is tolerant, who is satisfied, who does not disturb others, does not get disturbed by others. He is dependent only on Krishna. He is not shaken by the happiness and distress of this world. So nowhere in all these things does he mention that the person has to be very talented, very intelligent. He should be able to achieve great things in this material world. Nowhere does Krishna say any of this. It's not any of those qualities that will please Krishna. And we have seen already that the intelligence by itself does not lead to happiness in the material world. So always we have to be aware that the intellect is subservient to the soul. So we've got the hierarchy here in chapter 3 of the Bhagavad Gita. It says we've got the soul, the intelligence, the mind, and the senses. And we've already seen how lust is sitting in these places. Intelligence, mind, and senses are covered by lust. Now in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verses 42 and 43, what does it say? It says, Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya paramanaha manasastu parabuddhir yo buddhir paratastu saha. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And he, the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. Likewise, in the next verse, it says, Evam buddhe param buddhva sabhyatmanam atmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kama rupam durasabam. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So, we should know that the soul is higher than the intelligence even. And always, even if you're pursuing intelligence, we have to make our intelligence sharp in this material world to protect ourselves, because it's a resource Krishna has given us. But never let the soul intelligence get higher than the soul. So we see that even now in the material world, because his intelligence is very strong for most people, we have to trick this contaminated intelligence in the mind, and somehow, on the screen of the intelligence, we have to get Krishna on there. So usually, we can reflect back on our own lives in our journey in Krishna consciousness when we first began. When we are called for a program, for example, on a Saturday evening, the mind will scream and say, "Oh, I can do so many other fun things. I can watch a movie, or I can go out to the restaurant or do something else. I can go to the pub." So the mind is screaming that, "Oh, I can do other fun things, other sense gratifying things." The intelligence will kick in and say, "Oh no, that time, that evening precious time, I'm so tired from working the whole week. I need to take rest, or I need to clean up the house, or I need to do something productive and useful in that time. I should not waste my time." So the intelligence and mind, they're putting up barriers for the knowledge or the realization of Krishna to come to the soul. And so a lot of time preaching involves tricking this contaminated intelligence of the mind, of the intelligence in the mind, and somehow putting Krishna on the screen of the intelligence so that the soul can get a glimpse of Krishna consciousness, can get a glimpse of service to Krishna. And with that glimmer, with repeated exposure to that, then the soul finally becomes strong enough to tell the intelligence and the mind to, go silent and to actually pursue its real self-interest, which is Krishna consciousness. So sometimes we have, programs, we always offer delicious prasadam. We have music and dance and festivities and festivals, all this to attract this mind and this intelligence. The other aspect of intelligence in Krishna consciousness is, in this world, it's the pundits of this world that are respected. So the leaders of this world, they may be scientists, they may be leaders in society. They're the ones that are respected, and they're the ones that influence the public at large. And if you have to reach the public at large, it is through these leaders of society. And for the purpose of preaching to them, you have to also have, just like we want to see parampara, we want to see the school, the sampradaya. When somebody speaks to us about spiritual knowledge, we want to know what sampradaya are you in. Similarly, these pundits of this material world also want to know your sampradaya. And so when you want to preach to the pundits, you have to also show your intelligence, your material, knowledge and accomplishments. So we see a lot of devotees, they go on to not only graduate, they go on to study further, become PhDs, take on doctorates. We have Urmila Mataji, Nitai Sevini Mataji, we have Rasraj Prabhu, we have, I think, Hridayananda Maharaj as well. Many devotees, they go on to become doctorates and so on, because that is a way you can actually reach, go beyond the barrier of the intelligence of most people, so that they will listen to you and you can preach Krishna consciousness to them. And we need, of course, intelligence in so many other activities in Krishna consciousness, fundraising, fund management, building temples. We need architects, engineers, we need lawyers, we need all kinds of very accomplished, materially accomplished people to further the Krishna consciousness movement. Organizing festivals, networking, marketing, being on the internet, on social media. All these things requires a lot of intelligence, material intelligence that we have to sharpen. But at the end of the day, it's not contaminated intelligence. It's our goal is purified intelligence or spiritual intelligence, as Prabhupada puts it. And what does that look like? We must know what the goal looks like. So this verse in the Antilila I found really very, very beautiful. It says, Prema dhana vina vyartha daridra jivan, dasa kori vetan more, deha prema dhan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and give me the salary of ecstatic love of God. So when our intelligence is purified, then this is where we will see that our wealth is love of God. It is not material wealth. It's not material talent, skills, achievements, honors. That is not our true wealth. But to reach this material intelligence, of course, we have to go through a process, and exposing our intelligence, our soul to Krishna consciousness, not just sharpening our intellect, but also having a balanced life. And Urmila Mataji makes this point that it's not just devotees that, we are not the only ones stressing balanced living. The world is actually crying for balanced individuals. Because, she was saying, Ivy League universities now, they don't look only for academic scholarship or academic scores when they give admission to people, to students. They also want balanced individuals. They want to know, what have you done? Are you volunteering? Do you have other hobbies and interests? Do you have other sports or any other interests that you pursue? Because they want balanced individuals, not just academic scholars coming to universities. And similarly, we see even in life, the world is crying for balanced people. We need balanced individuals. Resilient people. So these are the people that are resilient. They can deal with adversities. We can deal with all the ups and downs of life. We'll be resilient and be able to navigate life only if we are balanced, not just academically, but also spiritually and emotionally. And so, even our Hare Krishna school, for example, it balances both material education, but also gives spiritual basis for that education to the students. And so when we come out of schools like the Hare Krishna school, you're going to expect that the child is going to be far more balanced than other people. Finally, we have to know that we are like players on a football field. A good player in the football field, when he enters the field, he knows there's going to be obstacles, there's going to be opponents, and he's prepared himself for that. So he's prepared with his strategies, his intelligence. He's already prepared all that, practiced, and he is ready to tackle them. But as he's tackling his opponents and the obstacles, his eye is always on the goal. And he's always inching towards the goal, slowly by and by, somehow or the other, strategizing and moving towards the goal with the ball. And so similarly, we are also like that. We are entered the field of this material world, and we are dealing with all these obstacles and opponents, temptations. All of these are there, but we are slowly inching towards our goal of achieving love of Godhead. So thank you very much for listening to me patiently. I will stop here. And if there are any comments or questions or any corrections, please feel free to add. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very
Dandavat
much
Pranam, Prabhu.
for the very nice class, particularly bringing out the point that Krishna consciousness or our spiritual consciousness should be at the top, should be the goal of life, in spite of all material advancement. And whatever place one is situated in, ultimately, if that intelligence is not spiritual, is not guided by spiritual intelligence, that cannot bring the ultimate good for the individual person. And as Prahlad Maharaj has told in 7.530, that Motirna Krishne Shoto Parato Shoto Va Mitho Pipodde Griho Bratanam Adanta Govir Vishatam Tamisram Punos Punoschubhita. Unless we understand that the goal of life is not this material advancement. By material advancement, we can have a fame in this material world, but that ends with the end of our life. So ultimately, what is permanent or what is our ultimate goal, that is not material. And as you have very nicely told, that the purpose, no one can satisfy the Lord by material things, because Krishna is not, as you have told, that Krishna is not satisfied by the wealth of a person. In the material world, it has got a very important things. A person is very beautiful, a person is very educated, a person is very wealthy, so he has got very reputation in the society, in the world, or in the whole world also. But the Krishna is not pleased by that. Krishna is pleased by the devotion, or the pure devotion of a devotee. That's why we have to strive for purifying our intelligence, material intelligence and spiritual intelligence. And in this way, we can make our material life spiritual, and achieve the goal of life by achieving both spiritual and material life purposeful. And the opportunity we have got in this human life, we can make best use of that. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Yes. If there's no other comments or questions, can we end today?
Yes, Mataji, if there's no other person to make comments, so the class will
Tanam Babu Nebu Vaishnav
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Yes, Tulasi Sevya Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hari Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare
Hare Krishna.